Hey guys, welcome back to the right side. In this video, I want to talk to you guys about Trump's unique VP spot, in my opinion, and how Trump could really utilize this opportunity to reinforce his base and to really reach out to next generation. Of course, if you like this video, don't forget to hit subscribe, ring the bell, and hit the like button. Also, comment down below if you agree, where you think I might be going wrong. I look forward to reading all the comments. First, I want to talk a little about the uniqueness of the situation. Trump already has a really strong base, which is what the vice presidency, or the vice president slot, rather, the candidate, is really important for. It's all about kind of reaching out and spreading your reach. So you get this group, when you only had this group originally. That's really important for a vice presidential candidate. It's also really important for the original purpose of the vice presidency, which was this guy is going to step in when the president cannot. And I think the reason why Trump's vice presidency is so unique is that there are uses to this vice presidency that other vice presidencies did not have. Maybe this past one with Kamala, but not in the way that I'm envisioning it. And one of the ways that I like to visualize this is by looking at the guy who I think would be the perfect, in my mind, to me, the perfect pick for vice president. And that is Vivek Ramaswamy. Now, I'm a huge Vivek guy. Huge Vivek guy. I have 3 shirts of his in my closet, actually. Huge Vivek fan. And the reason why I think that Vivek for VP would be unique isn't just because he is, in my opinion, more MAGA than Trump is. It was funny when it was in Iowa, and Vivek was kind of at the very tail end, kind of gaining a little bit, kind of, ramping up a little bit. Trump said, Vivek is not MAGA. And I was thinking, I was like, you know what? He's right. He's right. He's not MAGA. He's like ultra MAGA. Okay, he is like MAGA 2.0. Okay, in some instances, he's more MAGA than Trump is. Vivek is certainly farther right than Trump. I love that. And he touches the younger generation in ways that no other Republican, other than before when Trump joined TikTok, rather, had before. I mean, Bush Jr. didn't really touch the youth. He was always kind of like this, father-esque kind of vibe, personality that he always had with him. That kind of kept him, in my eyes, from really connecting with the youth. Democrats have always been really good at that. But Vivek really kind of hits that youth vote really, 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 really well. But the real reason why I think Vivek would be really interesting for vice president is because of the fact he's so much more MAGA than Trump is. And he's squeaky clean. They won't be able to get him on anything. He'd be perfect for the vice presidency because he will keep the heat off of Trump. That's very important. He'll keep the heat off of Trump. What do I mean by that? Well, we all know that when Trump wins in November and gets inaugurated on January 20th, he's going to be immediately attacked by any Democrats still in the Senate. I don't think they'll have the majority, so I think it'll be kind of tough. But they're going to move up articles of impeachment. They're going to try and delay and delay and delay and delay. Well, if you pick Vivek as VP, and the reason why this is also the reason why I brought up Kamala earlier, is that if Vivek is VP, it takes the heat off of Trump because Democrats will know that, hey, if we go after Trump and we knock him out, Vivek's next. And if you think Trump is bad, Vivek is even worse. Because I remember when I followed Vivek's campaign very closely, and Vivek was campaigning on cutting 75% of the federal headcount. Really kind of reining in the size of the FBI, all those other things. Meanwhile, Trump is saying that he wanted to give the FBI new headquarters. So there was a really big distinction between where Vivek was versus where Trump was, and I think that's really good. But I think when you take that into account about where Vivek is and how Vivek would kind of be like, hey, if you go after Trump, I'm next. And Democrats don't want that. The left does not want that. Because Vivek is an outsider. He's pure. He's not touched. He has nothing. He's 38, almost 39 maybe. He hasn't had the time to do the stuff that Trump has. And if he'd already done stuff, they would have already found it. Although we are talking about the same side that went all the way back to 06 for a scandal and pulled a rabbit out of their hat for 2015 to indict him on a felony that's usually a misdemeanor. So I guess you never know. But I just think that Vivek would give Trump an insurance policy of security, assuming that the left would be like, "Hey, we don't want to have to deal with Vivek." So if Trump picks Vivek as VP, then in my eyes, Trump's a lot more untouchable. They can't touch Trump because they could not handle Vivek. Vivek also gives Trump that youth outreach. I mean, he's already really gaining with the youth regarding his Trump's reach on TikTok, joining TikTok and doing the videos. He's doing a lot of interviews with creators that touch the youth vote. I watched his interview with Logan Paul. I thought that was really good. Seeing Trump in light that you don't typically see him is really good, because Trump, I think, in his political demeanor, is very relatable and likable to a lot of people. He doesn't put a mask up like others do. So when you actually see these candid photos like you saw in the golf cart, or he's talking about like, oh, Kamala's I think he said she's so fucking bad, and he says Joe Biden is he's a lump on a log, that kind of stuff. I think when you hear those things, you're like, oh, I would 110% expect to hear Trump say that in a candid conversation. So those types of videos I don't know if they don't hurt him, obviously, that they only help him, but Vivek activates those youth votes. He gets those youth votes. Vivek has a very strong message regarding, we can always rat on the left, which I will do. I have videos lined up for that already. But it's also all about replacing their message with one of our own. That's what I loved about Vivek's whole message in his campaign. He said, we can rat on the left all day long. We could say, this is why they're wrong, 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 this is why they're wrong. But why are we right? Why is our message, our prescription, better than theirs? What is our prescription? What is the message that we're trying to push out there? I love that. I think that he's the one who should be the flag carrier. But he's my ideal pick, perfect world pick. So I don't think that Vivek really has I don't think he has a 10% shot of being VP. I've already kind of went through the grieving process. So Vivek as VP won't happen, but that's what I think the ideal would be. The next one we could talk about is Marco Rubio. Real quick, to tie it in with Rubio and Vance, I think that there's a really good possibility that after this election, after this cycle, we really don't see Republican senators doing a whole lot really well in terms of presidential aspirations, only because, unlike governors or outsiders like Vivek and Trump were, even Dr. Ben Carson, when you're a senator in Congress, you automatically have that establishment establishment vibe, demeanor to you. And that's not to say that guys like Josh Hawley, guys like JD Vance are necessarily establishment, but I, going forward, want someone who's not tainted by DC. That's why I don't really think that a Republican senator will do very well. Now, the only reason why I say that till afterwards is because I think that Marco Rubio and JD Vance probably have the best chances. And I'll go into that later, but for right now, just talk about Marco Rubio. I think the fact that he's a senator, I don't really like. I think Marco Rubio is the most establishment candidate of the selection for vice president. I don't like that, but in my mind, I kind of understand how in the modern political landscape, you have to have certain guys that kind of check the boxes for other people. And Marco Rubio definitely checks off the establishment box, the same way Mike Pence did for Trump. He checked off the evangelical Christian vote. That was very important for him. So I think when you look at it like that, Rubio's really good. The only problem with Rubio is that legally it would be kind of awkward, because Trump and him live in the same state, Florida, and that can't happen. Back in 2000, when Cheney was going to be Bush's vice president, Cheney had to move to Wyoming in order to be his vice president. So in that respect, I think that's really unlikely, which is why when you talk about Rubio, it's kind of dead on arrival in a sense, because Rubio is a senator for Florida, so I really don't think he's gonna move. He can't move, and Trump's not gonna move. He's not gonna move from Mar-a-Lago, and nor should he have to. So a lot of whispers around Marco Rubio, but I'm not giving into the hype. The next guy is Doug Burgum. Burgum's interesting. Burgum was the governor of North Dakota. He initially made his money in tech, but he very quickly made North Dakota one of the greatest states for energy production and energy independence in the entire nation, which is that's very impressive. Burgum's like Vivek. He's an outside of being a governor, he's an outsider. He's a very rich man. He's a billionaire, just like Vivek was or is, which I guess helps him. If Trump were to pick Burgum, he would definitely have a very large piggy bank to pick out of for financing. And Doug Burgum comes from a very conservative state. So in terms of picking someone, or in terms of the risk of picking someone too moderate that would soften Trump's platform, that's not there with Burgum. Burgum wouldn't be there to do that. Burgum would be there to be a financial kind of, reach out. I'm not necessarily sure if he gets any new demographics. He may give Trump a more of a, not a blunter, appearance, but less of an abrasive one. Burgum's not, in the debates, Burgum definitely kind of used his elbows a lot, when trying to get airspace to speak against the other candidates. I don't think that Burgum's the kind of guy that is going to go and claw at other people. And I think that that's what Trump's maybe looking for. That's stepping up with Vivek, and that's also what Rubio is. Rubio won't really do that. Rubio will speak like a politician. The only problem with Burgum is that there's recently been whispers around closed doors that Burgum's stance on abortion is really kind of going to potentially alienate a lot of Trump's messaging, because Trump's messaging on abortion this election cycle has been not only it's a states' rights issue, and so he doesn't want to have a lot of federal intervention with stuff. And so picking a guy like Burgum, who I think North Dakota has one of the strictest abortion laws. I think it's a felony for doctors to perform an abortion. That's going to be really tough for Trump's campaign messaging, stuff like that. That's something that the left will be able to really hit him on, like, Trump says this way, but he picks Doug Burgum to be his vice president, and look at the abortion laws in North Dakota. They're going to try to do that nationally, which is ridiculous, but that's what they do. So, with that being said, Burgum, I don't really see it. I think he's a nice guy. I think that his background is ideal. I really don't have a problem with governors being presidential candidates on the Republican side, because governors aren't working in D.C., so they're not going to have that establishment taint to them. But Burgum's abortion stance is really going to cut through Trump's messaging like a sift through grass. So that's really going to be like mixing oil and water in terms of messaging that I don't think Trump's gonna be okay with. So Doug Burgum as vice president used to be a lock. There wasn't really much discussion about it. This guy was going everywhere with them. But now with the recent abortion thing, it's really going to seem unlikely. And with that, the last candidate that I want to talk about is JD Vance. Now, JD Vance has gives and takes. JD Vance is great because he's young, so we don't have the older kind of vibe with Marco or Burgum, but JD is a senator, which I don't really like. I think that when you have Republican senators, I think it's really important that you keep them in there for control. And I don't want the Congress, I don't want a Washington extension into going behind Trump as his vice president. I don't like it. But with that being said, JD is what Trump's might be looking for. I mean, JD's a populist. He's a big Trump guy, and so that definitely goes into his favor. JD doesn't have any outstanding scandals. I mean, he's the author of Hillbilly Elegy, so and that was a widely popular book. JD, he checks all the right boxes. He may not be rich like Vivek or Doug Burgum is, but he's not an outsider. But I also don't think he's been there long enough and has a reputation to kind of check off that establishment box. So I'm not exactly sure what demographic he'd be kind of checking off if he went with JD Vance. To me, JD Vance doesn't excite me. He's kind of just like a neutral pick, I guess, to my view. Maybe he might get the youth vote. I think one of the more unique elements of Trump's power right now, or his situation, is that he's really able to have a field of people campaigning around him and for him, reaching out. He's going to be able to have guys like Carson and Vivek and Burgum and all these guys run around the country with him to help him campaign, whether or not they are VP or not. Vivek's really good at it. Burgum's good at it. Vance is a current senator, so he can't really do that. So we haven't really been able to see him do that, which is, it is what it is. But Vance is really new into politics. It's almost good. It would almost, although I think he might have actually been the same time that Obama was in the Senate when he was nominated. Obama was in his first term when he got the nominee in 2008, and JD Vance has not been there very long. He has not been there very long at all. And so, in that respect, that might be good. I'm not really sure. It's difficult to see. I mean, obviously, the number one quality that Trump's looking for here is loyalty. And, that's why a lot of people had Ben Carson up really high. But Ben Carson, it might be a little bit too old for what Trump may be looking for. In that respect, JD Vance really clicks that box. That was another thing I heard negative about Burgum, was that Burgum was a little bit over the line in terms of age of what they were looking for and what they were comfortable going with. Vance and Vivek definitely check off those boxes, fills in those requirements. But I would think that out of the current field, on paper, rationalizing things, the guy with the best chance, or the guy who makes the most sense, would be JD Vance for the senator from Ohio. Just kind of going a quick review, Vivek would be the perfect in my eyes, but not going to happen. Marco, not only is he establishment, in my opinion, which kind of makes him ineligible, but they both live in the same state, so someone would have to move, and I don't see either of them doing that in order for him to be on the ticket. Burgum would be the next best option, except his stance on abortion is going to really alienate and kind of make Trump's messaging on abortion a little bit less credible. The next best guy on paper that makes the most sense is JD Vance. He doesn't have any of the scandals. He's young. He doesn't have anything that can kind of take away from Trump. He's populist. He's a MAGA guy. So in that respect, he makes a lot of sense. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you agree with me? Do you think that I was wrong on any of the candidates? Do you think that there's another candidate that I'm not really talking about that should get more attention? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe, like the video, ring the bell, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya.